Welcome to this video in which I'm going to be talking about the Ross MBA program at the University of Michigan. So in case you are looking at applying this year to Ross, you've come to the right place. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the MBA program as well as analyze the MBA application essays, which by the way, if you've not noticed, has changed. So firstly, let's look at the program. One key thing about Ross MBA, and this is based on our students who have gone to Ross, is the MAP, which is the Multidisciplinary Action Program, right? Multidisciplinary Action Project. Sorry. What happens is you are actually doing consulting as part of a team, and this is real field work, right? You are solving real problems. So you are not just looking at MBA as a way to learn knowledge, but you are also looking at a way to actually apply it. So I would recommend go to the website, read more about the MAP. The other thing is the University of Michigan itself is one of the largest public universities. So you have about 40,000 plus students, undergraduates, postgraduates, various disciplines. So you get access to that network. You get access to the various departments. You can take electives in some of the other departments if required. So I think that's again a huge advantage, right? As opposed to many of the MBA schools where they are standalone business schools. The third thing that I would probably pick is the focus on operations and manufacturing. So you have, the Teuber Institute of Global Operations. So if you're looking at operations, Ross is definitely a place to be. I know Detroit isn't doing too well in terms of the manufacturing hub, but still, in terms of operations, supply chain, logistics, Ross is the place to be. Definitely one of the top schools when it comes to specialization in operations. All right, let's look at what are the dates that we have. So this year, the first round is going to be on October 2nd. Second round is going to be on January 2nd. And the third round is going to be on March 19th. So either you're going to be applying in the second round, first round or the second round. So it's either going to be October 2nd or January 2nd. International applicants, please do not look at applying in the March 19th deadline. Okay, that's the third round. Can get very tough. And also in our experience, we have seen the school getting a lot of applications from India. So that's also one of the top schools where people go to. So you need to be extra competitive when it comes to Ross. So this year they have changed it. So they have now two parts. One is the short answer questions, and there are three groups. And each of these groups, you need to pick one response, and it has to be fewer than 100 words. Now, if you started writing application essays, fewer than 100 words can be actually very, very, very tough, right? As Mark Twain said, if I had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter, right? So that really goes to show that, writing fewer words is always a lot harder than writing more, okay? So let's look at each of these groups, okay? First group, I want people to know that I turned an idea into action when I made a difference when okay? So now you need to complete it. When I did what? So if you look at it, all of these are things about you that they want to know. Is there any advantage of picking one response over the other? Absolutely none. Okay, so don't even try to game this thing by saying this response is better than the other. Correct? This is completely going to be your personal choice. For example, if I were to look at it, I made a difference when I don't know when I made a difference. Maybe I have not thought about it. I would not pick that. I'm just giving an example, right? I turned an idea into action when I've had a lot of ideas, but I've really turned it into actions. Maybe, maybe not, but I can't really think of many. I want people to know that I would like to tell something about myself, right? That's probably easy. That's probably something that I really want to say. So I would probably pick this prompt. Now, I could use the same justification for the second or the third prompt, right? I'm not saying the first is better than the others, but that's really the thinking process that you need to have. What is unique to you? What is personal to you? Which of the following prompts best resonates with you? That's what you need to look at, right? Let's look at the second one, group 2. I showed my resilience when, so something that you bounce back from, right? Some failure that you face, some dejection, some frustration. How are you able to overcome that? I was humbled when I got to know something which is larger than me, correct? Um, I was out of my comfort zone when, again, something that they want to know more about you as a person. See, again, 100 words I know is probably around 3 or 4 sentences, but talk about the what, but spend time explaining the why. People do not understand just the what. You need to tell the why. For example, let's say I was out of my comfort zone when my manager assigned me to lead a team of people who came from diverse backgrounds and had different functional expertise. And I had to show them the path of what was really required in the project. Great. You know what? I didn't learn anything about you. Why was that a challenge? That's the point that I'm more interested to know about. So, what you could do, just keep it simple and say, when I was asked to lead a multidisciplinary project with people from various geographies, because I've always dealt with people who think similarly, and I had to now start putting myself in other people's shoes. I had to show empathy. Correct? So, the moment you start speaking more about you is when the AdCom knows who you really are, right? Let's take the third group. I was aware that I'm different when. What makes you different, right? It could be anything, right? It could be, your way of thinking. Maybe it's, something else that you have been born. Maybe there is a narrative that you're telling yourself. What is it that makes you different? I find it challenging when people. So, what is it that people do that you find yourself, being challenged? A valuable thing that I've taught someone is, again, what is the valuable thing that you have taught? So again, as I said, more than the story, focus on the why. So in this 100 words, probably 20 words is devoted to the what, but the rest 70, 80 words, I would like you to focus on the why, so that they get to know more about you, so that they read it and say, hey, this is a person that I would like to meet. Correct? All right. So now coming to the second essay, more prosaic, more straightforward, more traditional. Please share your short term and long term career goals. What skills, strengths do you have that will be relevant to your career goals? How will Ross prepare you for your goals? And you have 300 words. Okay. 300 words, to be honest, can be challenging because there's a lot to cover over here. This is how I would structure. Talk about your career so far, give a quick synopsis, give me a summary, right? Don't delve too much into it, but show the progression. This is how I was when I graduated. This is who I am today. Now that you are here, what is it that you see for yourself, right? What is your short term goal? Talk about your function, talk about your industry, talk about the geography, right? Talk about the kind of companies that you'd like to work for. Talk about the job function that you would have in these companies, right? Be very specific when it comes to short-term goals. Huge mistake that people make is they keep it very generic. They say, I want to get into a general management function. I want to be in a strategic role in a company. No, you ought to be very specific. You do have some leeway when you talk about the long-term goal, correct? So when you're talking about the long-term goal, you can afford to say, well, this is what I plan to do, this is what I intend to do, because long term is 5 to 10 years, correct? So there is a little more leeway for you to be a little creative over here. However, you still need to have something that ties back your education, your experience, your MBA, your short term goal, all of it into your long term goal. So don't say a bland statement like, I want to be an entrepreneur, correct? Or say something crazy like, I want to save the world, or I want to save the whales, right? Whatever the cause be, you have to make sense. So it cannot be a flight of fancy. Then comes the third part. How are you going to bridge this gap? This is where you are. This is what you want to do. What is the delta? What is the bridge? Correct? This bridge has to be your MBA. So what is it that you need in order to make this gap? Do you need knowledge? Do you need to be a different person? Does your perspective have to undergo a change? Do you need the network? Do you need the brand equity of a top school? Right? All of this is your requirement, and hence your Michigan Ross MBA. So now you need to specifically say what in the Ross program will help you address this delta. Correct? So that becomes your third part. So first part, your journey so far. Second part, short term, long term. Third part, how will ROS MBA help fit this goal? So if I were to look at 60, 70 words for the first part, maybe another 120 words for the second part, you have another 100 odd words left for the third part. So as I said, 300 words can be a little tight, so it's important that you work this well. You work on the language, you work on cutting down the extra words so that you're able to get your message across in 300 words. Coming specifically to the optional essay, one advice that I have: talk about gaps in your employment, talk about gaps in education, talk about something, let's say a low GMAT score, something that you think they should know, right? Don't try to retrofit a story just because you are not able to place it anywhere else, okay? You will do yourself a big disservice. Don't say things that they don't need to know, right? So that's the thumb rule that I always have for optional essays. Correct? So yeah, I think a lot that we covered for the ROS MBA program. In case you're applying to ROS, we have had many students apply to ROS and get in the previous years. We would love to see if we could work together. Please go ahead and click on the link below and drop in your comments. I'll be more than happy to respond to each one of them personally. Always like and subscribe to our channel. We have a lot of MBA application analysis coming up for you. Thank you.